What if one of the biggest action stars in the world quietly did something so thoughtful, so personal, that it changed a rising actress's entire career, and no one knew about it? This isn't a rumor. It's a true story shared by Ana de Armas herself, and it proves that Keanu Reeves is not just a Hollywood icon. He might be the kindest man in the industry. Stay with us. You're about to see why. Imagine this. You're on set. It's the middle of the night. The lights are bright, the cameras are rolling, and you're exhausted. You've been filming for hours, take after take, the director's voice echoing through the set, the cold air biting through your costume. It's your first big action film, and you're nervous. Every move, every line matters. You're trying your best to stay focused, to stay in character, but inside there's a storm. You're tired, unsure of yourself, wondering if you even belong here, among all these experienced, legendary actors. And then, quietly, from behind the cameras, someone walks up. No big entrance, no dramatic music. Just a soft voice saying, "Hey, you okay?" You turn, and it's Keanu Reeves. Yes, that Keanu Reeves, the man who played Neo in The Matrix, the relentless John Wick, the face of cool in Hollywood for over 2 decades. He's standing there, holding something in his hands, looking at you with concern and kindness in his eyes. And then, he does something you never expected. That's not just a fantasy. That was real life for actress Ana de Armas, the rising star known for her captivating roles in Knives Out, Blade Runner 2049, and No Time to Die. Before she became a household name, she was a newcomer trying to make her way in the unpredictable world of Hollywood. One of her earliest major American projects was the 2015 thriller Knock Knock, where she starred opposite Keanu Reeves. At the time, Ana was still adjusting, new language, new culture, and suddenly being on set with one of the most iconic action stars in film history. She admitted in a recent interview, "I was nervous, really nervous. I was still learning English, and here I was doing intense scenes with Keanu Reeves. I kept thinking, don't mess this up. But it was during one particularly grueling night shoot that something unforgettable happened. It had been a long night, the kind of shoot where everyone's energy is drained and the coffee just isn't cutting it anymore. Ana, though doing her best, was clearly worn down. She hadn't said anything, hadn't asked for help. But Keanu noticed. The next day, Ana arrived on set expecting another long night. But something was waiting for her. Something small, yet deeply meaningful. On her chair there was a box of Cuban pastries, the kind she used to eat back home in Havana. She was stunned. Nobody knew she'd been missing home lately. Nobody knew how much she had been craving something familiar. Nobody, except Keanu. She had mentioned the bakery weeks before, casually in a passing conversation. And somehow, Keanu remembered. Not only did he remember, he had gone out of his way to find the bakery, buy her favorite treats, and leave them for her with a small note. Thought you could use a piece of home today. No cameras, no attention. Just a quiet gesture that spoke volumes. Ana was touched beyond words. She said in the interview, "That meant so much to me. Not because it was food, but because he listened. In a world where everyone's always talking, Keanu listened." That moment wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a publicity stunt. It was just who Keanu is, a man known not just for his talent, but for his empathy and generosity. Ana went on to describe how Keanu would often check in between scenes, not just with her, but with everyone. Crew members, assistants, even extras. He'd learn people's names. He'd help move equipment. He'd wait in line at catering like everyone else. She recalled one night where the scene was particularly emotional, and she couldn't get through the take. Her hands were shaking. She couldn't stop crying. The pressure was too much. And Keanu? He didn't tell her to get it together. He didn't walk off the set. He sat down beside her quietly and said, "Take your time. Don't rush. "You're doing great." That reassurance, coming from someone she looked up to, made all the difference. It's easy to get caught up in the world of fame, red carpets, and flashing lights. Hollywood is full of egos and headlines, but once in a while, a story like this comes along and reminds us of what really matters: kindness, empathy, and the power of listening. Ana de Armas's story about Keanu Reeves isn't just a sweet, behind-the-scenes tale. It's a reminder that the people we admire most aren't always the loudest or the flashiest. They're the ones who lift others up, often when no one is watching. Today, Ana is one of the most admired actresses in Hollywood, and she credits that early experience and that quiet support with giving her the confidence to grow. She said it best. People say never meet your heroes, but if your hero is Keanu Reeves, absolutely meet him. We may not all be working on movie sets or starring in action thrillers, but we all have the chance to be a little more like Keanu Reeves. Pay attention. Listen when someone speaks. Be kind without expecting anything back. Sometimes, a small gesture, a box of pastries, a kind word, a moment of patience, can make a world of difference. Because in the end, it's not the stunts or the fame that people remember. It's how you made them feel, and that is why Keanu Reeves will always be one of the good ones. When Ana de Armas stepped onto the set of Knock Knock in 2015, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. Not just professionally, but personally as well. The film itself was a psychological thriller full of tension, emotion, and drama. But what unfolded behind the scenes was something much more touching and surprising. Ana, at that point, was still relatively new to Hollywood. She had made her name in Cuba and Spain with roles in indie films and soap operas, but Knock Knock was one of her first big introductions to American audiences. And to make matters more nerve-wracking, she was starring opposite Keanu Reeves, one of the most iconic names in modern cinema. To say she was nervous is an understatement. Ana has often spoken about how out of place she felt in her early days in Hollywood, new to the language, new to the culture, new to the pressure of carrying a major role in a U.S. production. Everything was unfamiliar. She worried about her accent, her performance, even whether she'd be accepted. And standing next to her on set was Keanu, the man who had already conquered the big screen with The Matrix, Speed, and Constantine. A veteran, a legend, a symbol of discipline and control. Ana later confessed in an interview, "I was intimidated. Not because he was famous, but because I had heard how serious and intense he was when it came to his craft. I thought, oh, no, what if I'm not good enough?" But what happened next changed everything. Keanu Reeves, despite his serious on-screen persona, turned out to be the opposite of intimidating. The first time he spoke to Ana, he didn't throw out a rehearsed line or offer advice like a seasoned veteran. He told a joke. Yes, Keanu Reeves, the same guy known for intense action scenes and brooding characters, cracked a lighthearted joke just to break the ice. Ana recalled that moment with a smile. "I remember laughing and thinking, wait, this guy is funny?" He wasn't what I expected at all. He was goofy, humble, and incredibly kind. And that wasn't just a first impression. Throughout the filming of Knock Knock, Keanu went out of his way to make Ana feel like an equal. Not a newcomer, not a sidekick, but a collaborator. He would rehearse lines with her between takes, explain camera angles, and even translate direction when language became a barrier. More than once, Ana said she felt overwhelmed. But Keanu was always there with a reassuring presence. "He made me feel like I belonged," she said. In a movie like Knock Knock, which explores uncomfortable psychological territory and features emotionally intense scenes, trust between co-stars is absolutely essential. Ana and Keanu had to perform complex, emotionally charged scenes together, scenes that demanded vulnerability, courage, and raw emotion. But Keanu didn't just show up for the cameras. He showed up for her. There was one scene in particular where Anna struggled. The scene was heavy, emotionally draining and mentally challenging. Anna wasn't sure she could do it. The pressure of getting it right in a limited number of takes was overwhelming. Keanu noticed. He didn't push. He didn't judge. He simply walked over, sat beside her, and said, "Take your time. This is your moment. You've got this." No script, no rehearsed line, just genuine encouragement. And in that moment, Anna realized something powerful. Keanu wasn't just a co-star. He was a protector, a quiet supporter, someone who led by being present, not by taking control. As filming progressed, Anna saw more of Keanu's now legendary humility and kindness. He didn't act like a movie star. He carried his own gear. He talked to every crew member like they were old friends. He never raised his voice or demanded special treatment. And more than anything, he listened. Anna remembered how she'd mentioned things in passing, like missing her family, or how different things were back in Cuba. And later, she'd noticed small gestures, like how he'd bring Cuban coffee to set one morning, or ask about her favorite childhood films. None of it was grand, none of it was for attention, but it was real. It was these moments, more than anything, that built the foundation of their friendship, a connection rooted in kindness, respect, and shared humanity. After Knock Knock, Anna and Keanu remained friends. They later worked together again in the film Exposed, 2016, and over the years, Anna has spoken fondly about Keanu's influence during those early years. "He treated me like an equal when he didn't have to," she once said. "He showed me that kindness is a strength, not a weakness." And for Keanu, Anna's warmth and authenticity were equally appreciated. He praised her talent, her energy, and her courage to step into a new world without fear. Theirs wasn't a Hollywood gossip story. It was something rarer, a real connection in an industry often dominated by competition and ego. In a world where celebrities are often judged by red carpet appearances and box office numbers, the story of Ana de Armas and Keanu Reeves reminds us of something deeper. What happens behind the scenes matters most. A joke, a cup of coffee, a moment of patience. These little things might seem small, but to someone trying to find their place, they mean everything. And maybe that's the magic of Keanu Reeves, not just the action hero, but the human hero, the one who lifts others up, one quiet moment at a time. The cameras were still rolling, but the energy on set was running on fumes. It was past midnight during a difficult night shoot for the 2015 thriller Knock Knock. The mood was tense, the scenes emotionally intense, and the cold night air made everything just a little harder. Ana de Armas, still new to Hollywood, was doing her best to stay focused. Her scenes were physically and emotionally demanding, and after hours under harsh lighting, repeating the same emotionally raw lines, she was worn down. But like a true professional, Anna didn't say a word. No complaints. No dramatic sighs. Just quiet persistence. She kept going, kept performing, pushing through the exhaustion with everything she had. Most people didn't notice. But Keanu did. Keanu Reeves is known for a lot of things. Blockbuster action films, his quiet mystique, and of course that signature calm energy. But ask anyone who has worked with him, and they'll all tell you the same thing. He notices the little things. That night, while most people were wrapped up in gear changes, scripts, and lighting setups, Keanu noticed Anna's quiet fatigue. He saw how she carried herself, how she sat in between takes, how her smile was a little dimmer, her energy a little lower. He didn't say anything then. He didn't make a grand gesture. No one saw him whisper to a crew member or pull her aside. But the next day, he did something that left Anna speechless. When Anna arrived on set the following day, something caught her eye. On her chair was a small box, simple, nothing flashy. But when she opened it, her heart skipped a beat. Inside was a warm, fragrant box of Cuban pastries, the kind she used to eat back home in Havana. Flaky, sweet, and familiar. The smell alone nearly brought her to tears. What made it even more surprising? She had mentioned those pastries once, just once. A week earlier, in a passing conversation, Anna had casually talked about a small Latin bakery in the city that made pastries that reminded her of home. She hadn't made a big deal of it. She hadn't even remembered mentioning it. But Keanu had remembered. And not only did he remember, he found the bakery, went there himself, bought her favorite pastries, and left them for her to find. The next morning, no big scene, no announcement, just a small handwritten note taped to the box. Thought you could use a piece of home today. K. That was it. Simple, quiet, unforgettable. Anna was stunned, not just because of the pastries, but because of what the gesture meant. She had worked with people before who were polite, friendly, even warm. But this was something more. In an interview years later, Anna recalled that moment with deep emotion. It was one of the kindest things anyone had ever done for me on a set. She went on to explain that it wasn't about the food. It was about the fact that someone noticed. Someone had taken the time to pay attention, to listen, and to act. Not for attention, not for credit, but just to make her feel seen and supported. Keanu didn't mention the gesture later. He didn't bring it up in conversation or wait for a thank you. He just let the moment speak for itself. And that, Anna said, was what made it so powerful. In an industry known for bright lights and loud personalities, Keanu Reeves stands out for a very different reason. His empathy. He doesn't lead with ego. He doesn't need to be the center of attention. Instead, he leads with kindness, with listening, with actions that speak louder than any headline. This wasn't an isolated moment. Many people who've worked with Keanu have similar stories, of him giving up his seat for crew members, helping clean up sets, buying gifts quietly for the staff, and never seeking recognition. For Anna, that box of Cuban pastries was more than just a snack. It was a message, a reminder that she belonged, that someone believed in her, that even in a high-pressure Hollywood film set, she wasn't alone. And that message stayed with her, long after the cameras stopped rolling. Anna. De Armas has since become a global star, with roles in Blade Runner 2049, No Time to Die, and Ghosted. But she often credits her early experience on Knock Knock and the support she received from Keanu Reeves as a turning point in her journey. That quiet moment of kindness gave her the confidence to keep going, to trust herself, and to embrace the strange new world of Hollywood. And it's a lesson we can all take to heart. Sometimes the biggest impact doesn't come from speeches or awards. It comes from listening, from remembering a detail someone mentioned in passing, from showing up when no one expects you to. It comes from showing love, softly, sincerely, and without asking for anything in return. Whether you're a Hollywood actor, a student, a teacher, or someone just trying to make it through the day, we all have the power to be someone's Keanu moment. It might be a kind word, a thoughtful message, a favorite snack when someone's having a hard time. We never know what someone's going through, but like Keanu, we can choose to pay attention. We can choose empathy, because in the end, the world doesn't need more stars. It needs more hearts like his. By 2016, Ana de Armas had already worked with Keanu Reeves on Knock Knock, and their first collaboration left a lasting impression. Keanu's quiet kindness and thoughtful gestures during that film, like bringing her Cuban pastries to remind her of home, had already shown Anna the kind of person he was. But when they reunited to work on their second film together, Exposed, Anna realized that their connection wasn't just a one-time friendship forged on set. It was real, and it was lasting. Exposed was a very different film from Knock Knock, a crime drama filled with themes of trauma, justice, and emotional complexity. It demanded an even deeper level of performance from both actors, especially Anna. And once again, Keanu was right there beside her. Not just as a co-star, but as a quiet guide and an unshakable source of support. Filming Exposed wasn't easy. The emotional weight of the story, paired with the fast-paced production schedule, meant that the cast and crew were under pressure almost every day. Long hours, dark subject matter, and constant retakes began to take a toll on everyone, especially Anna. Though she was more comfortable in Hollywood by then, she was still climbing her way up in the industry. And now she was tasked with delivering some of the most intense, emotionally raw performances of her career. During one particular scene, a powerful, gut-wrenching moment where Anna's character confronts a painful truth, something unexpected happened. Anna froze. She had prepared for the scene, memorized every line, worked through the emotional beats. But when the camera started rolling and the director called action, nothing came out. She couldn't speak. Her body tensed, her hands shook, her eyes welled up with tears, not because she was acting, but because she was overwhelmed. And, for a moment, the entire set went silent. Nobody quite knew what to do. The director paused. The crew exchanged glances. The room, filled with lights and lenses and looming deadlines, suddenly felt too big. But then, without saying a word, Keanu stepped forward. He didn't lecture. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't look around for direction. He just walked over, sat beside Anna, and gently placed his hand on her shoulder, and in a voice only she could hear, he said, "Take your time. We're not in a rush. You've got this." It wasn't about the schedule. It wasn't about the budget. It wasn't about looking good. It was about her. A moment that meant everything. Anna later said that moment changed everything. "I was on the verge of a breakdown," she shared in an interview. "The pressure, the emotion, everything just hit me at once." And Keanu didn't flinch. He didn't panic. He didn't try to fix it. He just sat with me, in silence, like a friend. That one sentence, "Take your time," meant more than an entire script's worth of dialogue. It gave her the space to breathe, to reset, and to remember her strength. She smiled through tears, nodded, and just minutes later, nailed the scene. One take. Perfect. And Keanu? He didn't take credit. He didn't even mention it afterward, because that's who he is. That thoughtful, patient approach wasn't limited to just one tough scene. Throughout filming Exposed, Keanu made it his quiet mission to ensure Anna felt safe, emotionally and physically. In action sequences, he'd personally check that the stunt choreography was working for her, even offering to run through the moves again off-camera if she needed it. In quieter, more emotional scenes, he'd rehearse lines privately with her. Not because he needed the practice, but because he knew she wanted it. He'd ask how she was doing, how she was feeling, if she needed a break, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely cared. Anna has said many times that working with Keanu didn't just make her a better actress, it made her feel like she belonged. In a world where so many new actors are thrown into the deep end and left to sink or swim, Keanu made sure she had someone beside her, guiding her through the storm. What surprised Anna most wasn't Keanu's skill or his success. It was his stillness, his ability to listen, to really hear people. He wasn't the aloof movie star you might expect. He was someone who made space for others to shine. He didn't dominate conversations. He didn't interrupt. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room. He was the calmest. And in an industry often full of ego and noise, that stood out. He made me feel seen, Anna said. Not just as an actress, as a person. Today, Ana de Armas is one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood, and though she's acted alongside many stars since, she still speaks about Keanu Reeves with a kind of reverence, because in those early, uncertain years, he wasn't just a co-star, he was a mentor, a friend, a quiet protector, a man who didn't need the spotlight to shine. There are many stories about Keanu Reeves, of him giving up his seat on the subway, donating his salary to crew members, or buying motorcycles for his stunt team. But sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones we never hear about, the ones with no headlines, no cameras, no applause, just one person showing up for another with patience, kindness, and genuine care. That's the legacy Keanu Reeves carries. And for Ana de Armas, it's one she'll never forget. In the fast-paced world of Hollywood, where headlines are filled with scandals, feuds, and egos, it's easy to forget that genuine kindness still exists. The red carpets, flashing cameras, and million-dollar contracts often distract us from the real stories, the quiet ones, the meaningful ones. But every once in a while, a story emerges that reminds us what true greatness really looks like. And this one, about Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas, does. Just that, it's not about fame, fortune, or flashy performances. It's about a simple truth. Kindness matters. When Ana de Armas shared her personal experiences with Keanu Reeves, from the thoughtful gift of Cuban pastries to his gentle support during emotional scenes, fans were immediately captivated. Yes, it was heartwarming. Yes, it was unexpected. But more than anything, it was a powerful reminder that sometimes the smallest gestures can have the deepest impact. Ana didn't just describe Keanu as a great actor. She described him as someone who noticed when others were struggling, someone who listened when everyone else was focused on themselves, someone who went out of his way, quietly, humbly, to lift others up. And in the high-stakes world of Hollywood, that kind of compassion is rare. Fans around the world already admired Keanu for his roles in The Matrix, John Wick, and so many iconic films. But over time, it's become clear that what people truly love about him isn't just the action. It's the man behind the roles. There are endless stories like Ana's. Small moments of kindness that never made it into the tabloids, but left a lasting mark on the people who experienced them. Stories of Keanu giving up his seat on the subway, buying ice cream just to sign a fan's receipt because they didn't have paper, quietly donating millions to cancer research and crew members without ever seeking recognition, or walking miles in the rain with stranded passengers when their flight was grounded because he believed no one should go through a hard time alone. And now, Ana de Armas's experience joins that growing list. Not just as a sweet moment, but as proof that Keanu Reeves lives his life with intention, with empathy, with love. Years after working together, Ana still talks about Keanu Reeves with a softness in her voice, like someone remembering a moment that shaped them. She's gone on to become a Hollywood powerhouse in her own right. From Blade Runner 2049 to No Time to Die and Blonde, Ana has proven herself as a versatile and fearless performer. But behind that strength is a young woman who once felt overwhelmed, alone, and unsure, until someone reached out with nothing more than gentle encouragement and quiet support. That someone was Keanu. Ana has called him one of the most genuine souls she's ever met. People always say, "Never meet your heroes," she once said in an interview. But if your hero is Keanu Reeves, you absolutely should. Those words are simple, but they carry the weight of experience, because Ana didn't just work with Keanu, she saw the real man, the one who offered comfort during breakdowns, gave space for silence when it was needed, and never let the pressure of Hollywood get in the way of being human. What makes this story so powerful, so unforgettable, is that it reminds us of something we often forget. You don't have to be a star to make someone's day. You don't need money, fame, or followers to leave an impact. You just need to care, to notice, to show up. Maybe it's remembering someone's favorite snack. Maybe it's a few kind words during a hard day. Maybe it's just being present, even if you don't know what to say. That's what Keanu did, over and over again. He didn't need applause. He didn't need cameras. He just wanted to make life a little easier for someone else, and in doing so, created a memory that would last a lifetime. In an age of social media noise, cancel culture, and celebrity headlines, Keanu Reeves continues to be a breath of fresh air, not because he tries to be perfect, but because he chooses to be kind. And for Ana de Armas, that kindness wasn't just appreciated, it was transformative. It gave her the strength to push through fear. It gave her a sense of safety in an unfamiliar world. And it reminded her, and all of us, that sometimes one person's quiet presence can become a lighthouse for someone else. So maybe we can all take something from this story. In your own life, whether at work, school, or even among strangers, you have the power to be someone's Keanu, to listen, to care, to remind someone they're not alone. Because in the end, it's not the awards, the box office numbers, or the viral moments that matter most. It's the stories people tell about you when no one else is watching. And if those stories sound anything like Ana de Armas's, then you're doing something right. If this story touched your heart the way it did ours, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you love hearing inspiring stories about your favorite stars, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a moment. What do you think about Keanu Reeves's quiet kindness? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and stay inspired.